Hello and welcome to Elena Meets the Author. This podcast explores how authors create a world that we can escape into. Join me as we demystify the magic that keeps us turning the page. Hello and welcome to Elena Meets the Author. I am your host, Elena Bose. This podcast explores how authors create a world that we can escape into. Join me as we demystify the magic that authors use to keep us turning the page. Now, today, I'm doing something a little different than usual. Rather than speak to the author, I am speaking to the author's best friend, the bookshop owner. I have always loved getting lost in a bookshop, especially one where the staff know their books and are friendly and can recommend everything from a great, engrossing novel to a delightful children's book, to the perfect present for a tricky hostess, to a travel book. If I'm going somewhere that I've never been, sometimes I want to read a novel that takes place there. Or maybe they could recommend a must-read biography or even a book that the staff members don't actually love, and why. Books open up worlds without the hassle of packing up a suitcase. Diane's Books on Greenwich Avenue in the town of Greenwich, Connecticut, where I spend a lot of time, is just such a bookstore. Diane Garrett opened Diane's Books 35 years ago in 1990, when there was a good handful of other bookshops in town. Today, only Diane's Books remains, and Diane is actively involved in selecting all the books that the shop carries. She also does a weekly Instagram post recommending her favorite reads. I want to talk to Diane about the origins of her shop. Who hasn't dreamed of opening a bookshop? Well, Diane did it and clearly knows how to survive in this tough market with Amazon undercutting prices and delivery time, and people just reading less in general. And of course, with summer still going strong, I want to ask Diane for her top 5 reads for the rest of the summer. And without further ado, hello, Diane, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
It's lovely to have you. I guess at first I just wanted to start off with how you came to own this, found this bookshop in Greenwich in 1990. What's your origin story?
My origin story is that I moved here from Canada, and I had just got my master's in library science. My husband kept saying, Diane, get a job at the library. You spent so much time in graduate school, because I was bringing up 3 teenagers at the same time. But when I went into the library, I thought, I want to talk books to people. And when I walked around Greenwich, there were 7 bookstores, but not one of them was dedicated to children. And I went home and I said to my husband, that's what I want to do. I want to open a bookstore that's got a fabulous children's section. But of course, I don't want a children's only bookstore because I want the whole family to read. So I want to open a family bookstore. And that's what I did. But the children were the inspiration for me. And they still are, and I still give them hugs. And my graduates still come in their 20s and talk about our time together. So it's very rewarding. And I live my passion every day. And I get to hug the children. So how good is that?
It's fantastic. I love it. How has the whole bookshop world changed since?
Well, I suppose what it's changed is Amazon is what's changed it, and the screens and so on, that so many people are on their screens. The point is that we can tell you about a book. Amazon can't talk to you about the book. I can talk to you. I can feed the whole family. So, but the good news, even with the screens everybody's on and Amazon, the books have never been better. That's the really good news. That's the really good news, is the publishing industry is not taking a backseat to this world we're in, which is wonderful.
It's fantastic. And I spoke to Kira, who works for you, and she said that also when you hire staff, you make sure that they love to read and are quite knowledgeable in a certain genre so that they can talk to customers when they come in. Is that, I think it's really important if you aren't in the shop, that everyone that works there loves books too.
Yes, it's really important, but also every one of my staff members has a specialty. So Verna is nonfiction. Kira is the young adult section. It's not that they can't travel to the other sections, but they own that. So it's something that they have of their very own, and that they can really dig into. And I think that's really important, that they own a piece of the inventory, intellectually and so on. That's really important to me.
And, when I went into the shop the other day, I was asking Kira about certain books that I think were not young adult. And she knew exactly what other staff members, where it was their area, what they thought about that book. So I think they all communicate in case that person isn't in the shop that day.
That's right. That's what happens. We're all supposed to talk to each other, right? Uh-huh.
And so do you buy all the books? How does it, do you read all
I
the
buy all the books. And everything in my store is there for a reason. So it's very important. I don't even know what's on the bestseller list. I don't care. I care what I love and so on and so forth. So, and I read every day. And as I say to my customers, even if I work 10 hours a day, the important thing is that you read every day, whether you read for 5 minutes or whether you read for an hour. It's like having your shower. It's like having breakfast. And I have a spot. And it's funny when my husband always knew that when I went to my spot, he'd stop talking to me, because that was my spot, where my pillows and my books, my wine glass, everything's there. My pen, because I journal when I read, so my pen and my journal are there. And that's really important, I think, to be that organized. The other piece is I want all my parents to read out loud to their children. I think it's really, really, it's never been more important. And I read out loud to my children and grandchildren until they went to college. And I think it's just so very, very, very important that parents do that, and grandparents.
To stimulate the love of stories.
Well, just, and snuggle up, just snuggle. I always said to them, just snuggle up with Nana, close your eyes, and that's what you do. And then we start a story. And they don't have a choice. It was always my choice. I was the one that chose the books.
Oh,
and it was always something that they wouldn't read themselves. So I didn't want them to miss it. Like the classics. Like my father read Black Beauty to me. And Bambi. And things like that. That the children would never open on their own. And it's just the magic of words. But the important thing is that they just shut their eyes and they just snuggle and they just listen. That's the important thing.
At what age are you thinking that starts?
You start at the beginning. As soon as they come into the world, you start reading to them. Mm. As soon as they come into the world, and the books are there. I mean, they're right there. So it's just a great pattern to get into as a family, to read out loud as a family.
I love it. I mean, I love to read, but I don't remember reading aloud. After a certain age, I don't think my parents read to me aloud. So you read to your children aloud until they went to college?
Yes, till they went to college. And my father read The Pokey Little Puppy to me almost every night. And I still know it off by heart, and it's still in print.
Oh, wow.
But what a great memory I have of my dad reading The Pokey Little Puppy to me. 5 little puppies dug a hole under the fence and went for a walk in the wide, wide world. I mean, how wonderful is that golden book?
Do you have a lot of children's classics in your shop?
Of course I do. Of course.
I love that one, the Boston, the pond where the ducks quack, thwack, knack.
Make way for ducklings.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that one. Okay, so in your shop, you have about 30,000 books?
Yes.
So have you read all of those?
Well, most of them I have, yes.
Yeah. Interesting. And are there books that you reject? And if so, what kind of books do you not take?
Well, I want books that make me curious, that stimulate my imagination, that make me happy. I do have the Wally Lamb book in the store right now because he was at the library. But it's a very, 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 very difficult book because children are in danger. And I have a big, huge problem with books with children in danger. I don't see why authors have to put children in danger. You don't have to have a child as a protagonist. You can make your point without using a child. So that's my biggest quibble, is children in danger. That's my biggest quibble with books.
Yeah, I would find that hard to read, actually.
But the place was packed because Wally Lamb is a very beloved, American author. But the book I found the book very troubling, very difficult.
Interesting.
The other thing that's interesting in the world of books is that the wonderful thing about nonfiction now, it's never been better. So much of it is narrative, it's storytelling, which is great. So it's like I want to say to my history teacher, if he ever walked in the store, why didn't you tell me it was about stories and people and not about dates? So the nonfiction is so rich, but again, it has this other piece going on in so many of the books, which is a wonderful thing.
Do you also like historical fiction?
I love historical fiction.
Yeah, me too. Again, it's all about the story, so you're learning without even thinking.
And when I opened the store, it didn't have to be based on fact, but now historical fiction has to be based on fact, or it can't be published. So you can read historical fiction and know that you're getting the facts, and it's not telling a once upon a time story, which to me is just such a bonus.
Exactly. Yeah, I read a lot of historical fiction. Why do you think books are getting better and better? Is it because they work more, the publishing industry is stronger, or writers are stronger? What's happening? That
I don't know the reason why I think the books are so, but the publishing industry is very strong. And I mean, I don't know why, but all I know is that I'm happy about it. I mean, I have to reject 10 to get 1, or reject 20 to get 1 when I'm out buying. But when I get that 1, I know I have something. I know I have something.
Do you sort of start a book, and then how quickly do you know this is not going to work for you?
No, I read the whole thing. I just don't.
Wow.
I read the whole thing, but I don't read it as carefully as I would, or I don't journal as much. But I always read the whole thing. I always do.
You must be a speedy reader.
Well, I think it's because I do it every day.
Right.
I think if you do it every day, it's like anything else. It's not difficult, and it's not cumbersome, and it's not an unknown entity. It's just something you do every day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But people ask me all the time, how do you read so many books? And I think it's, as I said, the answer is pretty, as far as I'm concerned, is pretty simple.
Do you listen to books too?
I do not. I do not listen to books. I don't listen to books. But a lot of my customers do, and find it very enjoyable. So good for them. I don't care. As long as they're hearing stories, I don't care.
Do you often have more than one book on the go?
Never.
Oh, wow.
Never, 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 never. Always one book at a time. Always.
Okay. I'm quite different. I listen to Audible and I read, and I usually have more than one book on a go. I think because I'm a slow reader. So if I was just reading one book at a time, it would take me forever. So I have the Audible too, which I do when I walk. Mm-hmm. But I'll choose the type of book that will be on the Audible. It will be it'll be a lighter book. Mm-hmm. But anything that's kind of heavy that I think is going to be really good, meaty, then I will read it. And when you talk about journaling, what are you journaling? What exactly are these notes? Is it what you like about the book, or?
It's wonderful language that I love, a description that I love, reminding myself why I love the characters, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. I have a question. So it's a tough market, but you have survived. What advice would you give someone considering opening a bookshop?
Well, I think if you're going to open a bookstore, you have to be a reader. You can't be a Barnes and Noble and just buy every new book across the board. I think you have to be very discerning about what you're doing, because I don't think the other equation works except for the Barnes and Noble kind of stores. So you really have to know your books, because people aren't going to respect you as a bookstore owner unless you know your books. And why would they? So that, to me, is absolutely critical.
Yeah. I mean, I went into a Barnes and Noble's, one of those huge jumbo stores,
Right.
I remember, because I needed a book. I was in Maine last year, and it was huge. And you knew the people behind, there's like 8 cashiers. None of them were really into books. There were so many books. I couldn't make up my mind. It was too much. I think I left empty-handed, or I bought one book that I wasn't sure about. I can't stand it. And then there was another bookshop near me in New York, Shakespeare Books, which closed. But they didn't really know their books as well as I would have liked. I mean, I was happy to have a bookshop. I was really happy, and I was sad when they closed. But I always remember the ones where the people, and you could be in a small town, but the ones where they know their books, they stand out, and you're going to go back and back and back to those.
That's the only reason they come to me. They don't come to me for any other reason.
There was a period where I think everyone thought the books were going to die, bookshops were going to die, and it didn't happen at all. I wonder if it almost went the other way.
Well, as I say, the publishers are certainly publishing a lot of books that I don't think they should be publishing. But, that's the game. That's the game.
Yeah, yeah. Can we talk a little bit about the collaborations that you do with the local community? Because I think that might be another thing that can help a bookshop. Bringing, when you have authors come to, you're involved with the Greenwich Library, which has got to be the most beautiful library I think I've ever been in. It's just incredible. And also with the Bruce Museum. Mm-hmm. So whenever they have an author come and speak, are you their sort of go-to?
Mm-hmm. We are. I mean, it was wonderful when the store was larger and I could have author readings in the store. Those were the old days.
I didn't realize the shop was at one point larger.
Oh, yes. It was twice as big as it is now.
Same location.
Same location. But we were upstairs. We had the coffee shop next door. And we were able to have author readings in the store and have enough room to seat people. But those were the good old days. Those were the good old days. So now we're collaborating, and it's a great collaboration. And I love what the Bruce Museum has done in town, so good for them.
I have still not been there. I need to go. And you mentioned there's a coffee shop there, La Delice.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't realize this, because they just were renovated.
Right.
So it's probably just as beautiful as the library.
Right.
It's a well-funded town. Do you sometimes suggest books to them, or do they always come to you?
No. I bring authors to them, like authors that I want to have an audience for, that I can't accommodate in the store. Authors that I'm really, passionate about, and that are fairly local. Those suggestions come from us.
Got it.
Whereas the library, they have their own agenda. So we're just the booksellers. The library, they have their own, as I say, they have their own agenda. So they're not very welcome. They're welcome to any of our suggestions. And that's just the way it happens to be. So that's the way it is.
When you say they're not welcome to your suggestions, but they still host events there for you?
They host events, and we supply the books. So we're the book vendors, and they are the purveyors of the authors. That's what they are.
But then they also have their own program, which is quite different.
Right.
With authors, I see. You had Patti Smith come. Was that a popular
Yes, it was
event?
It was very popular. Very fun.
Was she pretty good in person?
I wasn't there, but I heard that she was.
Yeah. What have been some of your best, most popular author talks?
Well, when I had J.K. Rowling.
Oh.
Because I had dinner with J.K. before the first book was published, and she was lovely enough to come to town, and we had her over at the Boys and Girls Club, and I sold 250 tickets. And the most beautiful thing was that when J.K. sat down at the table and the children were there, Every single one of them, she looked at them. She said, "What's your name? How old are you? What school do you go to?" There was 200 children there. She never once spoke to me. She never once spoke to me or my staff. It was the most, I'll never, never, never forget her interaction with children. It's no wonder she could write the Harry Potter books. It's no wonder.
Right.
So, I mean, of course, that is the most memorable. That is the most memorable. And I suppose the other person that's really impressed me was Walter Isaacson. He was at the library, and he came to the bookstore. And the library has hosted Walter a few times. But the wonderful thing about Walter Isaacson, it's never about him. It's always about the story. It's always about the person he's talking about. It's always about you, the reader. I loved his intellect. I loved his manner. I loved his persona. And he's teaching history at Tulane now. And on my bucket list, I would love to sit in his classroom and just listen to Walter talk about history. It must be wonderful for those young people to be sitting in his classroom in Tulane.
Gosh, I can imagine. Do you sometimes get authors from far away? I mean, it sounds like you might with
sometimes.
JK.
Yes, But the reason we had JK was because she, as I said, I had dinner with her, or lunch, whatever I had with her, before the first book was published. So they knew that I was on the map.
I see. Before the Harry Potter was published.
Yes, before the
you
first.
met her.
And I always say to my children, I asked her who she wrote the book for, and she said 12 and 13-year-olds. And so I tell all my children that are younger than that to please leave it at home and don't open it until high school. My own grandchildren read it all through high school, over and over and over again, listened to it on tape. Their father read it out loud. And whenever he always changed a word, if he changed a word, they knew. And it just absolutely changed their teenage years. There's no question about it. But so many of my parents are pushing their children, and they're reading it too young, and they really need to put it away until high school. Because it's really an amazing, well, you all know, Harry's amazing series.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe that brings us to what are your favorite books this summer or this year? If you had to pick 5, what would you recommend?
Well, you already talked to me about Kingmaker, the Pamela Harriman.
Loving it.
And the reason we love it, it's not only the subject, but we love Sonia Purnell. Sonia Purnell is a wonderful nonfiction biographical writer, and she gets right, and she tells stories about all kinds of wonderful people. So we've been reading Sonia since the beginning, and we just absolutely love her. A Woman of No Importance is our favorite of hers backlist.
Who was that about?
That's about the spy who had one leg, and she was an untold heroine of World War II.
Oh my goodness!
Yep.
I want to read that. What a great title!
You're going to have. That's my favorite. And then she wrote Clementine, The Life of Mrs. Winston Churchill, and she wrote Just Boris, A Tale of Blood Ambition. But she's a great storyteller. So we love The Kingmaker. We love it. Another book that I've loved this summer is the Scott Turow book. This book, unfortunately, has had no attention from anyone. Scott Turow wrote Presumed Innocent 38 years ago.
I remember.
In 1987. He's 76 years old now. He wrote Presumed Guilty because when he was practicing law, he always wondered about the parents of the young people that were on trial and how they coped. So that is the nexus of this story, Presumed Guilty. And the wonderful thing is, so it's not just a legal thriller. It's much more than that. It has this other piece to it going on. Of course it's a legal thriller because it's Scott Turow. But it has this amazing other piece going on that just absolutely, it just absolutely wraps you up in these families of these young people. And maybe we've never even had the question in our minds before until we read this. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
And
Great.
he's 76. I've asked if he could come to Greenwich, and I've been told he's not traveling, so perhaps it's his age. But Scott Turow, 3 cheers to you, because this is a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous book, Presumed Guilty.
I can't believe it's not being pushed because he's such a big author.
It's not being pushed at all, at all, at all, which is very troubling. So book number 3, of course, is Jackie by Dawn Tripp. It's just recently come in paperback. This is the Jackie we don't know. Dawn spent 10 years writing it, 10 years. And she insisted on this photograph. The publishers did not want this photograph as the jacket, and Dawn insisted on it. And when you're reading the book, you turn to this picture, and it evokes so much of the story that the place in the story you're at. But as I say, this is the Jackie we don't know. So many people have taken a piece of her, often salaciously. I never realized how brilliant she was. She read poetry to her children and her grandchildren. And this is just a book everyone should read, just out in paperback, Jackie by Dawn Tripp.
I interviewed Dawn to do with that book, and she recommended you to me. That's how I first heard of you. And I think it's my favorite read, I think, of this year. I loved it.
Dawn is just and she's just so passionate about what she does. She's such a caring author. I can always tell when the authors are caring. Book number 4 is called My Sister's Grave by Robert Dugoni. This is a Tracy Crosswhite number 1 in a series of 11 books. I have read all 11. Robert Dugoni decided to write about Tracy because Tracy's sister disappeared 20 years ago, and no one's been able to find out what happened to her. Tracy is a high school teacher. She quits her job and she joins the Seattle police force to find her sister. And this is the beginning. This is the first one, My Sister's Grave. Robert Dugoni, I don't think he's very well known. I loved all of them. Absolutely. You follow Tracy, you follow her life, what's going on with her. But as I say, this is number 1, and it's Tracy Crosswhite. Just one of the best characters that I've ever read in a mystery.
Did she find her sister, or you can't tell us? That's a spoiler.
Well, I can tell you, can't I?
No. There's 13 of them, hopefully before number 13.
But the point is how she finds her and why, and why she hadn't found her. You know, all of that is what's really important.
Okay.
You know, it's not does she, it's the whole 20 years have gone by, and why? And then, of course, as we unravel that, we start to unravel Tracy's life and where she's going and what she wants to do. And then other cases turn up that are old cases. And Tracy loves things that aren't solved. So we find her solving other murders that the families, again, don't have an answer for, because that's her curiosity takes her. So she's a wonderful character. So wonderful.
Great. Thank you.
So I have Mademoiselle Alliance. This is the historical fiction we were talking about. Natasha Lester is one of my favorite historical fiction authors. And this is about the young Parisian mother who ended up leading the largest spy network in France. And she was Mademoiselle Alliance.
Is that a true story?
Of course. And she's Madame Foucard, is who she is.
Oh.
And of course, it's historical fiction, so it's based on fact. But how does a young Parisian mother, celebrated for her beauty and glamour, come to lead the largest spy network in occupied France? And that's what Mademoiselle Alliance is all about.
Sounds great.
Yes.
What a good selection.
And the last one we should probably do, It's a Love Story by Annabelle Monaghan, because I love a good rom-com. Sometimes I have to read 10 or 20 to get one. But Annabelle is such a caring rom-com writer. There's no garbage in here. There's none of those words that we hate to see in books. It's all about a story about people and a love story, and it's just wonderful. And we love everything that Annabelle's written about, and we just say 3 cheers to you. It's a love story,
sweet.
Annabelle Monaghan. So that's my love story. So that's my 5.
That's fantastic. I love Annabelle too. I first came across her with the Nora Goes Off script.
Right.
And have read her ever since.
Have you read It's a Love Story?
Yeah. That's the one that I interviewed her about. And Nora Goes Off script. Yeah. No. I love reading her. And she's just such a great person. She's very funny.
I know.
Well, thank you so much, Diane. This has been really fun and interesting. And long live bookshops, and yours in specific, and bookshops in general, because we all need them. Everyone needs to read. And not needs, it's just a great pleasure.
Well, we just want happy reading, everyone, and we just want everyone to have a good book to curl up with, and that's what we want. We want you to fall in love with books. Books fall open, you fall in, delighted where you've never been.
Perfect. Thank you again.
Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Well, that was fun and different. Diane is definitely my most eccentric interviewee, and so bright. At 87, she's a real inspiration. I love when she mentioned that she has a special chair for reading, that when she sat in it, her late husband knew not to disturb her. I want a chair like that, a no talking to me chair. I think I might sit in it an awful lot so that chatty husband of mine will quiet down. Just kidding, Stretch. I also told Diane after the interview that I just bought John le Carré's The Constant Gardener because Stretch and I are going to Kenya soon. She immediately offered to put some books aside for me. So in addition to being a prolific reader, she's also an excellent saleswoman. And I think Diane's word of advice to sum up the interview would be, hey, all you young parents, start reading to your children. Cuddle up on a sofa and get lost in a story. I was quite pleased that 2 of the books that she recommended, I've interviewed the authors. I've recorded 30 episodes total, so feel free to peruse those, but I have definitely got an episode with Dawn Tripp, who wrote Jackie, and Annabelle Monahan. It's a Love Story. And one of my favorite books this year was Alison Espach's The Wedding People. Highly recommend it. So that's it for today. See you in 2 weeks.